No, it's not like that. Don't worry. We're the good guys. We entrepreneurs. We create. However, um, there seems to be a misconception out there about sacrifice in life and especially in business. I think it's kind of a complex topic and people getting confused. Let me explain to you clearly what the sacrifice is. And at the end of this video, I'll tell you my own personal sacrifices I've made on my entrepreneurial journey. The easiest way to explain sacrifice, I think, is to use a triangle of life somewhere here, right? So at the top, you can see it's a work, career / money, business. On one side, you have a health and well-being, and on the other side, your relationships. Now, imagine the average person. Average persons are average and they don't aspire to do anything special. So they are somewhere in the middle of this triangle, right? Somewhere in the middle. They're not great with money. They're definitely not great with their relationships. You know, they're falling apart. They're cheating on each other. They have no friends. It's just nothing great there. And they might be just fat, overweight, or just, you know, their body is not, you know, health and well-being is not there as well, right? They're just in the middle. Average. Now, since you're watching me, that means you're probably trying to do more, and it's probably about business. Well done. Now, that means you're going to be looking at the top part of this triangle, which is about work, money, career, business. Now, to build a business, it requires a lot of time and energy from you, especially at the beginning, especially 1 to 3 years, first 3 years. Which will mean that if you start building your business, we'll put more energy and time into it. The other two might get a little bit less attention. So that will be your unconscious sacrifice. Now, the good news is, because of people like myself in the internet, you can watch the strangers on the internet telling you some, you know, giving you tips. You can now be conscious about sacrifice you have to make. Because if you look at this 3 points in the triangle, it's impossible to have, you know, 3 at the perfect level. You cannot have a great business, great family and friends relationships, and great health and well-being. Especially not when you're building your business, especially where, you know, at the early stages of your journey. That means if you're building a business, you will sacrifice most likely your relationships because you will have to work longer. Therefore, you'll have less time to spend with your friends and family. You will be more tired and stressed. Therefore, you will have less patience. You will not be around as much. You will have to miss some time with your family, with your kids. There will be not enough time throughout the day, every day of the week, to keep perfect balance between them all. You know, it's just the nature of life. Keep in mind, average person in the middle of the triangle is not aware of it and makes no sacrifices whatsoever, and they suck at everything. Health, well-being, relationships, and money. Now we can use that knowledge about sacrifices to get ourselves ahead of everybody in any specific part of our life. Let's start with the business. We make money by sacrifice, and the sacrifice is our relationships. That's fine, because I did not say the sacrifice is forever, right? The sacrifice is only temporary. That is another great news. You don't have to sacrifice anything forever. So, when you hear a lot of people saying, like, if you're young, you should go all in or you should take more risks. Yes. And the main reason for it is because you can sacrifice way more than people at my age without penalties. For example, if you start building your business at the age of 20 and you sacrifice 5 years of your sleep, you're only going to sleep 5-6 hours every day or most of the days, and you would eat less healthy. That is not a big deal, because most, young people in their 20s, they do that anyway. The only difference between you and them will be you will focus on building a business, whether they will sacrifice their well-being and health so they can party more. And they just drink and they smoke and they do all the things we all do, right? At some point of their lives. So it's important to understand that there is sacrifice, but what's even more important, in my opinion, is to be conscious of your options. Now, I'm not calling it choice, because it's more about negotiation rather than choosing. You negotiate how much, take it from each to build the other part, right? If you want to have 80% in the business and then 20% in relationships, or 70% in business and maybe 30% in your health. This is very personal. I'm happy to help you out. If you have any questions, leave me a comment or just send me a DM and we can discuss your particular, topic, your particular situation, right? But it's super important to be conscious of options you have and how to negotiate in between. There is no option. You can start a business or you can start your entrepreneurial journey with having 3 of those in the perfect order and be, excellent in all of it. You will end up being where you start at average, where everybody is, and everybody ends being average. And there's nothing wrong with that, but that's not what I wanted for myself, right? So let me give you the real life example based on my personal case. When in 2016, I decided to open my business, transport business in London. It was medical transport business, which I sold in earlier this year. I decided, it wasn't super conscious. I've just had to do it, but I've learned along the way that was the choice I've made, or negotiations I've committed to. I negotiated with my wife and with my closest friends, so to say, that I am opening a business. I am serious about that. I will do anything I have to, whatever it takes to become a successful entrepreneur. What was the price for it? I worked 7 days a week for 3 years with no holiday. Okay, that is a sacrifice. That's the health sacrifice. I was tired. I was worn out. We had no money. And I had to work for 7 days. We couldn't even afford to go anywhere. We couldn't afford going out either. So my relationship sacrifice was also there. I still remember where we could barely afford a meal in McDonald's, me and my wife, to just go out and have a meal, right? That was the beginning for me, for us. So my sacrifice, the biggest one, was on health and well-being. And that doesn't mean I was, eating cigarettes for breakfast, right? None of it. It's just that I had to work as I promised myself, I will do what it takes. I'll work as much as I have to until things happen. And it took 3 years. So throughout those 3 years, I had 0 days off, and it took some, hit on my health and well-being. However, the good news is, once I became more successful, so to say, I started, making some money, I got some time back. I was able to actually, look back into what's needed in my health and well-being and just fix it, right? So the sacrifice is never final. It's not that you decided once and for all and that's it and then you're gonna die. That is not it. You just sacrifice for a time being to become good at what you want to be, one of those 3. And then once you get it, you go, and try to fix the other neglected part of your life. One more tip for you. If you become successful, and you can see it with most of the successful people, when they start going to gym, they start, eating well, they have this daily routines, they meditate, they wake up early, they do all sort of things, which for average person is extreme. They do it because they need to get their bodies themselves back up, because they sacrificed, most likely they sacrificed their health and well-being along the journey to get to where they are now. In my case, I'm still in the place where I'm fixing myself, so to say. So I do gym a few times a week, sauna, cold plunge. I do all these things because the older I get, I understand the less time I have and my body is getting older, etc. But I also have to a little bit give back for the time I spent early on my journey, sacrificing my health. So guys, do not despair, but please do not completely forget about sacrifices. I don't see anybody talking about this. There is all this positive and negative, either A and B, black or white, kind of you do it or you don't do it, 4 hours of work or gazillion of hours of work. No, that's not the case. You have to be aware of where you want to get to and what you are giving in return or what you're sacrificing. The sacrifice is not final. You can get your time and health later on. And again, we are not talking about some extreme sacrifice where you have to drink, I don't know, whiskey for breakfast. That's not it, right? We're talking about giving more than the average person. Okay, I hope this helps. If you like this video, please give me a like, subscribe to my channel. Leave me a comment if you're struggling with anything startup business related. I'll be happy to help. And until the next time, thanks a lot.